180,000 illegal immigrants with criminal records, ordered deported from our country, are tonight roaming free to threaten peaceful citizens. The number of new illegal immigrant families who have crossed the border so far this year already exceeds the entire total from 2015. They are being released by the tens of thousands into our communities with no regard for the impact on public safety or resources.
Ein Jahr nach der Präsidentschaftswahl treffen wir uns mit Jamie. Sie hat bei einer TV-Show mitgemacht, bei der Amerikaner ihre schwedischen Verwandten treffen. Jamie ist die 4. Generation ihrer Familie, die in den USA lebt. Wir wollen von ihr wissen, wie sich die Situation der Einwanderer verändert hat.
I think that when my great-grandfather came over with his parents that it was during an era where, you know, America was more of a melting pot, and it was important to fit in, because if you didn't, you stood out, and they wanted to make it and take advantage of what they thought the land of opportunity was.
So what do you think? How did America change from back then?
I think America's changed by switching from a melting pot to a salad bowl. In that we're all in it together, we're mixed, but somebody might be a piece of tomato, somebody might be some lettuce, somebody might be onion. We're not trying to all be the same. When back then, you know, like, it was important to fit into, so that, you know, you didn't maybe get criticized or, you know, outcasted. I think anybody, like a foreigner, somebody coming from another country, coming into America, especially today, may be fairly difficult in regards to finding a job and settling in. The show that I was on, the Swedes, my family over there were open-armed and loving and welcoming. I think if the tables were turned and they had Swedes coming over here and they knocked on our door, we would shut it in their face. You know, even if you're like, oh yeah, so you're a second or third cousin, don't care. You know, like, I think that we can be a little harsh to outsiders, especially when, you know, we have a president that talks about building a wall and trying to separate more of that. I mean, I think it's a little bit of a tricky time.
And what else do you define as being American?
Guns, you have to have a gun if you're American. You know, yeah, it's just your rite of passage. I don't have a gun. I have an axe, a Swedish axe, though.
The percentage of people that have guns have a lot
Love
of
that
guns,
thing.
But, well, there's a few things he said that I didn't agree with.
It's my dad. Say hi, Dad.
Hi, I'm sorry. I didn't want to get into this salad bowl idea that you're talking about. No, we have the same situation in migration as we did back then when my great-grandparents came here. People would segregate themselves. You would have, you know, this culture here, this culture here. What they did do was learn to live with each other. Back then it would have been a salad bowl too. So then it turned into a melting pot. You know, you started out with the bits and pieces, and then they started assimilating it, understood that, okay, we have to understand your point of view, and you have to understand our point of view, so we can get along.
Do you think it's accurate to say that a country built on immigrants are cycle through, like it's a cycle? That maybe, you know, we'll come to a place where, you know, we all just get along until
I think that we were pretty much to that point until they let the mass migration come in. This mass migration has only been over the last decade. That's what created a lot of the problems. They're trying to still maintain their religions and their reactions, their, you know, overall, which doesn't melt with what's going on here.
And isn't, don't you think that's kind of a shame that they don't do that? Because I'm disappointed that I don't have, like, my grandmother's recipes. You know, like, she wasn't, like, we never upheld any traditions. Like, it's something we value so much more because we have a lack of history. Like, why wouldn't we want to provide that to them if it's something we wish for so much for ourselves? No. We're new at this.
Well, we're all immigrants.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you know, not all of us are Indian.
Yeah.
And they're all immigrants.
And how does Europe look to you from an outside perspective?
I see Europe making even bigger mistakes than we're making. As far as the immigration, letting the people, the terrorist acts that are happening, even though they're happening here. I am not a big Trump supporter, but I could not see anybody else doing what he's doing in that position. I think he's the best man for the job.
And I disagree. I cried when he was elected.
I'm not saying that he's been a
I'm
great...
so sorry, my dog is an asshole.
We'll have different views.
Hey. Down. Good girl.
Okay.
She loves her grandpa. She
Settle down.
loves him.
Settle down.